up? It's your host, Torry, and who is ready to be petty? Welcome back to the pod. Today we have a very special guest. When she reached out to me, I literally shit my pants, and you probably already know who it is because of the title of this pod, and maybe you read the show notes. But Claire Parker from the Celebrity Memoir Book Club podcast is here. She's a New York City comic, and her bestie, I don't know why I put that on them. I don't know if they're besties, but like good friend, Ashley, read and dissect the celeb memoirs that you don't want to read, but you want all the juice from. And the whole time we recorded, I wanted to say memoir, or however Kris Jenner used to say it in Keeping Up, but I'm really grateful that I didn't. We discuss the Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton, I literally forgot his name for 1 second, wedding. I really think Gwen Stefani is in her flop era, so we discuss that. We talk about Britney Spears's recent changes to her legal team and her management that happened this week. And we also discuss Nick Cannon's baby names. He has 7 kids as of last week. So we discuss which ones are good and which ones are bad. And obviously this is an R2BB podcast, so there's a few tangents in there. I want to give the warning now. We're explicit around here, but this one is maybe extra explicit. I don't know. So I just want to put that out there so you know what you're getting yourself into. Okay, without further ado, let's get to the show. I'm here with a very special guest today. Claire Parker from the Celebrity Memoir Book Club podcast is here. Claire, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for joining me. I was so stoked when you reached out.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. I'd love to talk pop culture with anyone I can get my hands on. So I'm excited to be here.
What made you start a book club podcast?
I mean, it was definitely a combination of external forces and just marketing. My co-host Ashley Hamilton is both comics in New York City. We met doing stand-up. And 4 years ago, we started a Britney Spears podcast called Hold On 1 Second. We're talking about Britney Spears. And it really was we loved Britney just because we were born in the 90s and everybody back then loved Britney. We noticed there was no other Britney podcast. We were this is a hole in the market. We have to fill it. We started talking about her. The more we studied her, the more we fell in love with her and we were obsessed with her. And then when the Free Britney movement started, we stopped because we did feel we didn't like talking about Britney if she was a prisoner. Obviously, back then, we had no idea what the extent of it was, but we were either way, I don't want to speculate on somebody who could or could not be held a prisoner in her own life. We're comics, so we're definitely a little bit snarky, a little bit petty. I mean, a lot of what we with love, we would make fun of Britney's outfit choices. We really believe she's probably the only celebrity who actually shopped her Candies by Kohl's line. You know what I mean? It's hard not to tease Britney, but we did it from a place of love. And then when it stopped being funny when we thought she might be in trouble. So we stopped it. We tried to do a different podcast called We're in a Fight with Claire and Ashley, which, because we feel that all podcasts are about dating. Nobody ever talks about female friendship. And I feel there's a lot to be said there. And there's a lot of nuance and difficulty. And for me personally, I've had friends longer than I've had my boyfriend. Female friendships are tough to navigate. And so we wanted to have a podcast that kind of acknowledged that and talked about those relationships. Unfortunately, we had no expertise. We also couldn't get people to come on and openly talk about fights they've had with friends. And so it was just me and Ashley fighting with each other every week. And we were just crying. Literally it was ruining our friendship. So we were okay, we have to stop doing this. And then we were well, what can we do where we can talk about pop culture? We can do it ethically. We don't want to be part of that tabloid culture in the early aughts, the Perez Hiltons of the world, the people that brought Britney to where she is now. We would like to move forward as a people, but we were we're still obsessed with pop culture. So what do we do? And we kind of came up with this idea of if we read their memoirs and their autobiographies, then it's their own words. And so you can judge people based on their own experiences and their own words. And then it felt like fair ground. The year we started, Mariah Carey and Jessica Simpson both had memoirs. So it really felt okay, this is the universe saying, go for it. This makes sense. And we've been reading memoirs ever since.
I love that. I totally get that too, because sometimes, like, I did an episode about Demi Lovato's recent documentary, and like, I felt like I didn't want to be like super mean to them, so I just like, because I feel like they were struggling and like maybe currently are struggling, so I was like just like super nice, but then it was like not a good episode to listen to, because like most people are like hate watching pop culture stuff, and like that's what they're like here for, and then I was like, this is not good content.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing with Demi specifically is, on the one hand, my heart goes out to them. I do try to like always keep in mind that I feel like the hard thing about people with mental illness is it's not like this cute Twitter girl being like, I have anxiety, And I think that a lot of the mental illness gets spoken a lot about by like comics and people on Twitter and people online. It's kind of like this glamorized version of depression where we're all Lana Del Rey, just like nervous at a party, not wanting to talk to anybody and coming out like having too many drinks or something. But I'm like, no, the hard part about people with mental illness is there are people like Demi Lovato who act like indefensible sometimes, or like hard to deal with. And I always try to remember to be sympathetic even when it feels difficult. Like someone like Lindsay Lohan, when she came out pro Harvey Weinstein, after all the Harvey Weinstein stuff broke, I had to be like, okay, the thing is though, she has probably been assaulted more than anybody else in the world, and the reason it's bad to assault women is because they come out crazy like Lindsay Lohan. like this is a symptom of the trauma, and to like get mad at her about it is hard. But God, does she press you? I mean, she pushes you. She really makes you dig deep to find sympathy for that woman. I watched a reality show. She is.
I know, like the beach club one.
I watched every episode. Did you?
No, I like watched the trailer.
I thought it was just me. Yeah. I was pretty sure. We did actually a podcast about it, and it was the craziest thing about that series is every week they changed when it was on, and like also every week on its Wikipedia it changed how many episodes would be in the season. Like you could tell the producers were watching like how, I don't know how much longer we can keep this going.
Yeah, that's fair. I know, like editing like on the fly. I know the one clip of her dancing in that like silver sparkly jumpsuit, and like I've done that dance a million times. And that's about it.
Iconic. Yeah. You can go viral no matter what, and that's a skill. That's a celebrity.
Honestly. Do you feel like with celebrities where like they need people talking about them to some extent for their like jobs and to stay relevant, and for a lot of them to sell stuff, how do you think that comes into play when people are podcasting or talking about them?
I mean, I do think it's like, so we try and stick to the memoir, and especially our TikTok, which is our number one promotion for our podcast, we try and keep it strict to the memoir. But we recently did Kris Jenner, and of course because the Kardashians are like omnipresent, I have a lot of theories, and I left my normal stick to the book, stick to the script ideology. It is hard because I am like, people kept being like, why can't you mind your own business? I'm like, this is their business. Like their business is us talking about them. I do feel like there is a line, and it's hard because it's like not in concrete. It's like not a hard and fast rule every time. I mean, I don't know if you watched the Britney documentary on Hulu, but like that paparazzo following her, even when she begged him not to, like that feels different than me speculating some more petty things about Khloe Kardashian and being like, she looks a lot like this guy her mom hooked up with. That's definitely pushing it. I know I recently got some blowback because I had heard, not even from celebrity pop culture, but just because I'm a comic, that Olivia Munn might be pregnant, and people were really mad about that. And it's funny, like, because I mean, you do have to play it by ear. Like, I try to like stick to my own moral code. I feel like I'm not that bad of a person. Of course, I am snarkier than most people. Like, I probably do go further. The Olivia Munn thing to me felt above water because I had heard it from a friend of a friend of a friend, and like the context of the video I did, I was like, full disclosure, this is completely hearsay. This is like 19 levels of a friend of a friend. She could be pregnant, we'll see. But I felt like because I was so like, who knows? This is not validated by any way. Like if I knew because she was my friend, that would feel mean. If I had seen it on a gossip site, I would have left it alone. But I felt like it was so preposterous and it was so far removed from the truth that I was kind of like, I don't know. Literally anyone could say anything. It felt like it was so it was so gossipy that it almost had no weight and wasn't bad. But some people still got mad at me. So I don't know. I mean, I try to be great, but I'm not perfect. I'm still just sitting here gossiping.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, very like Dumois-esque, but yeah, it wasn't like you were speculating on a picture of her like body and like,
Yeah.
circling
like,
the.
She had pasta. What a bitch.
Yeah.
Maybe she's pregnant, God willing.
Yeah, honestly. And then Kay, your other tweet about John Krasinski also blew up.
I was just trying to describe that to my mom. I'm with my parents and my grandmother right now. Yeah. And I was just trying to think of them like how far out of control that tweet got.
I know, because I was like skimming your tweets today and I was like, holy shit, like what happened? Why, like, where did these like Krasinski heads come from?
So this is like completely, I have no idea if this is true or not, or if this is just like an internet joke, but a couple of people have been like, there are rumors, and this isn't the first time that a rumor has started that maybe John is on fake accounts like promoting himself, because I guess when he did that CIA movie, he got a lot of backlash. And there was like just a couple of people on Twitter like defending him to the death, being like, I think his muscles look great, and I think it's cool that he blew up a village, like just being insane. And so I guess there is this like joke rumor about him that he runs his own fan accounts and like has fake accounts that he uses to argue with people about himself. I mean, obviously, I don't even think it's true, but I like to believe it's true. People are insane. I mean, stan culture is like one of the great fascinations of my life.
I honestly could see that being true though, because people are saying that about The Hills New Beginnings, that they like created a bunch
that one I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, that one is like not even, I believe that that's part of their contract, that they're like, Spencer Pratt, I think, would do my podcast. Like, I think if I just reached out to him,
100%.
There are crazy people who live for online and like can't even get it. It's one thing to be a Kardashian addicted to being talked about, but it's another sadder thing when like you're throwing everything at the wall and you still can get talked about. To have a reality show that nobody watches is pretty bottom of the barrel.
Totally. Okay, Spidey would come on your podcast, and they don't have a memoir, but like they have a book, so you can.
Oh my god, is that not a memoir? I had always kind of thought it was a memoir, and I'd always in the back of my head wondered if they'd come on. Damn.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
I think they would write a memoir to do the podcast. I mean, I think they'll do anything for anything. You know what I mean? They're like,
yeah, I heard that they're trying to pitch a show about like the Pratt Daddy business, kind of like Vanderpump-esque, and honestly, I would find that more interesting than like this Hills reboot. But
I guess my question would be, do we believe that he has a single employee? Like, is somebody have health care because of Spencer Pratt? I find that hard to believe. I do think if he sold that show, he would immediately have to start that business. And so that's like, what I question there is the word business.
Literally. No, I do think he has employees, but they're like teenagers, like straight up.
Sonia Morgan, like everyone's an unpaid intern. Like, it's like a lot of credit, a lot of exposure.
Yes, exactly. Like you're on my like Snapchat.
I could see him being like, it's not for money, it's for college credit. And then he's like, to Streets University. He's like, this is the school of hard knocks, and you just passed freshman year. And they're like, no, I need credit. I go to like UCLA.
Oh my God, I could definitely see that. Okay, so I've only read Kris Jenner's memoir. Like I haven't read anyone else's.
God bless you. I mean, our tagline is we read it so you don't have to. And I really wouldn't. A lot of these books, I'm like, oh, I'm doing the Lord's work. Like the fact that I'm muscling through this garbage right now for people is so kind of me.
I don't even think I could get through it. Like, and they're all ghost written, but they're still horrible. Like,
that's a very good point. I have like never thought about it that way. Like, it is crazy that they are paying professionals to write such hot garbage. But
literally,
I mean, anyone can be a writer, I guess. You just have to know the words.
Has any of them like surprised you? Like any of the content? Was it any of it new? That's what I find some like interesting with Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and then like memoirs like this is like we see it all on Instagram and like in the tabloids. Like, is it shocking?
So I'm not a true crime person, so I didn't know anything about the OJ case. I actually had no idea. I didn't watch that miniseries. I did not know the Kardashian involvement at all. I vaguely knew that Kim Kardashian's dad had been OJ's lawyer, and that was like why the sex tape made headlines. But I also knew from that Good Charlotte song that he had a different lawyer. So I was also always like, well, which kind of lawyer? Like, what does that even mean? He wasn't like the lawyer. So I didn't know any of their OJ connection. I was kind of interested in Kris's early life, just from like a psychoanalysis perspective of, she comes from like a long line of matriarchal families where the women leave the dud men and then start businesses and support themselves. She has a sister, her mom has a sister, her grandmother, so somebody, I feel like born in like 1901, probably, you know, and somebody from a long time ago left her cheating husband and started her own business and raised her 2 daughters alone. Like it is weirdly in their family to do that. And so I did find that interesting, just the way she was raised, the way that like she was raised, and how that's kind of trickled down to the Kardashian idea of like what motherhood and family is, because I feel like they're so influential on like real life. So it was kind of interesting to see like where it all started. I guess I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, Leah Remini's book about Scientology was like deeply fascinating. Obviously, that's like a legitimately interesting topic outside of just herself. That is legit interesting. I didn't know a lot of that stuff. I'm sure the problem is with a lot of these people, like interest begets interest. Like the Kardashians are interesting because they already were interesting, if that makes sense. Like I'm interested in them because I've been interested in them. Someone like Anna Kendrick, I'm like, yeah, if I had wanted to know, I would have by now. Do you know what I mean? I do feel like there is stuff I don't know about her, but I was never dying to know any of it. None of it quenched a thirst.
Yeah, that's fair. I know. I would just, the Anna Kendrick one seems like a tough sell, to be honest.
It's funny to see like how something I've realized recently is the way that like personalities can be dated in the same way that like you look at the 70s and the 80s and there's like specific styles and even like face shapes that come in and go out of vogue, like, and the eyebrow, like personalities, like watching New Girl and remembering that Zooey Deschanel personality was like the it personality. And then reading Anna Kendrick's book and being like, oh yeah, this like Twitter persona of Larry David Light. Like it's funny to see these things. You're like, oh yeah, at one point we thought this was the height of satirical observational comedy, and now I'm just like, shut up.
Totally. She's so like, it's very like 2012, like hasn't evolved past that.
Like everything's dumb. Have you noticed?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so true. That's very interesting. Cause yeah, she kind of had a career that was like kind of like splash in the pan, like really rose to fame, and then like have not heard from her since.
Yeah,
like,
she's just Pitch Perfect. I wonder if she's like working on herself. God bless. She is.
Yeah. Did you read anyone's memoir that you like hated but empathized with, or like did they change your perspective after you read their
Mariah
book?
Carey is definitely, I like went in thinking she was a diva. I actually didn't know much about her, and I came out being like, yeah, she's a diva, but she deserves it. Like she did put the whole music industry on her back. Like for a while she was whatever record company with. I was like, yeah, she was like the majority of their earnings. So if she wants to be a bitch, she can, because she is like so talented and successful. I don't know. I feel like it's hard because nobody that I've read at the end of the day, or very few of them, are like people that I like at the best of times could admire or respect, if that makes sense. Like none of them have done anything truly impressive. They're all just at best actresses. You know what I mean? Like I'm not deeply impressed by whoever I've like Demi Moore. You know what I mean? Like at best. So then you take these people who I'm already like not that I don't have a ton of respect for them. Not that I don't respect them, but it's like I'm not in awe of them. And then I spent 300 pages listening to you talk about how important your life is from every little detail. And I'm just kind of like, you know, I mean, there's something by definition kind of like narcissistic about it because it is like your memoir. And I get that that's part of it, but it's hard. You get so sick of them. You know what I mean? And also the way people talk about themselves. It's not a likable medium, I find.
I find that interesting too, because do people do it just because it's kind of like a big milestone? Like, especially, you're right, like even books I feel like are like an outdated medium, but like, so is it just because that's like such a capstone, like I have a memoir like about my life, that people do it?
I have a couple things that I think people do it for. One is like the cash grab. If you've got a story to tell, if you are at the end of your career, here's the way to make money. And then the other thing is, I think right now we're seeing like this rise of like the middle-aged memoirist who's using it to like make a comeback. So I'd say Mariah Carey, Jessica Simpson, Lil' Kim's about to come out with one. I think Paris Hilton's about to come out with one.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime specifically women in the media want to sort of reshape the narrative about them, a memoir is a great way, once the dust is settled, to come back out and be like, actually, you were all wrong. I think, you know, you kind of look at like the Monica Lewinsky redemption arc. And there's like a point in the public eye where if you've been out of it long enough, you can kind of come back. And for the most part, all women were treated like shit. So like 99.9% of the time you come out and you're like, actually, this is what I was going through. And we're going to be like, oh yeah, sorry about that. And so I think it is a good way to kind of neaten up or straighten up or like explain the past. And then you can kind of, once you have somebody on your side, shift their focus to where you want to go in the future. So yeah, like Jessica Simpson, I think, is already coming out with another book. I think she wants to be seen as sort of a more Martha Stewart-y or something. You know what I mean? She wants to become maybe a Gwyneth Paltrow, like a lifestyle figure. I always say that Jessica Simpson was Kim Kardashian, whose sex tape was music. Like she entered the scene via music and singing, but very quickly became a brand and a business. And she was like, I think one of the first celebrities that I can recognize who became wholly a brand first and foremost. Do you know what I mean? Like she made that decision pretty early on. She hasn't put out a song in a while, I think, or like a hit song in a while. She gave up music. Music doesn't seem to have meant much to her, really. She used it to get rich, and that comes across in the book a lot, that mostly her number one driving force was to make enough money to support her family because they grew up pretty poor. And so I do think like her tool of choice, or like the most obvious talent she had, was singing, and she used that. And then when she could kind of parlay that into something more sustainable and that allowed her to get out of the public eye, she did that quick. Like she has, I don't think she has any qualms about giving up her singing career. Mostly she wanted to be rich.
Totally. Yeah, I always talk about that, or I like tweeted about it a few months ago, because you're totally right. Everyone kind of credits Kim for having this brand where, yeah, you're the figurehead, but Jessica Simpson did it way before she did it with like her Macy's deal, and her company was valued at $1 billion like years ago. So yeah, and she like gets no credit for that. So interesting.
But I think the memoir has like, I think the memoir was an effective way to get that kind of press and have her be seen. And now she's already coming out with another book within the year. And I think she is going to like herald in this new era for Jessica Simpson, where she's again public facing, but not the way she was. But I think she'll become more of like a Gwyneth Paltrow, like a middle class, middle America Gwyneth Paltrow.
It's interesting. Like, why do you think that they would choose a book versus like a YouTube series like Demi?
I mean, I think it's a more respectable medium. I think it's when you remove your face from it, like literally when you're not judging the way they look or the way they act, there's something about having like the artifact of a book that I think can be edited and controlled much more tightly than a YouTube video can. I mean, I think people are more likely to sit down and read 300 pages of a book, which will get you through 20 years, whereas 300 pages of a YouTube, like I don't even know.
Yeah, what the equivalent is that?
Medium feels very like to address a specific apology. It feels very like apology based. You know what I mean? Like if you come on, you're like, look, here's the deal. You want either like a forgiveness or you want like a change. If you're going to call somebody out in a YouTube video, you kind of want justice or something. A book is more like stands on its own and kind of slowly will change people's opinion. It feels much more respectful, much older. Yeah. I also think Jessica Simpson, she has a fan base that's even older than me. They're not going to sit down and watch her YouTube channel or video.
Yeah, that's true. And that's a good point about changing minds over time, because I think that's also something that the Kardashians do really well with their TV show coming out months after from situations happening that have already played out in the tabloids. And I'm curious to see what people like them do when they don't have the TV show to kind of craft that narrative. But you're right. It is like these slow, incremental, like attitude and belief changes than like one splash in the pan YouTube video. People just like pull up receipts or like angry comment anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask you about Caroline Calloway. How did you two meet, and have you tried her new facial oil?
Okay, so how we met, she like followed us on TikTok and then she followed us on Instagram. And when we were posting about Lena Dunham, we had just read Lena's book. She was like, listen, you're looking at it all wrong. And we were just like, hey, if you want to come defend her on the podcast, feel free. And she did. So she came over. So we actually had never met her before that day. It was a pretty quick turnaround. I think she like DM'd us on a Wednesday, and that Sunday she was in my friend's apartment recording. And about the facial oil, we have not tried it. It was funny. She was telling us about it after the podcast. And I do want to say I'm not like in any way a Caroline defender. I'm not whatever. Like people were like, I do want to say it's funny though, talking to her in person, and she's like, you know, I have good skin and I've always made my own oils. And my friend was like, you should just sell this. And I was like, yeah, why not? And so I'm going to sell them. And then watching, and in real life, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Why not? I thought the name snake oil was pretty funny. I was like, kudos. That's like good branding. A nice level. It's always good to be able to joke about yourself. And then to watch the internet respond to it, I was like, whoa, they are heated. But I was like, but they're making a lot of good, decent points. But so it was very funny because like if I had not just spoken to her the day before and heard her in real life tell me, I would have seen the tweets and the screenshots and the backlash and been like, yeah, what she's doing is absolutely insane. She is like never ending. But it was funny. I'm like, I couldn't tell you if she expected people to be that mad. I couldn't tell you like I'm sure, I know she knows that people are always gonna be mad no matter what, but I feel like it's easy to assume she is doing it to be controversial, but I'm like, I don't know really. I feel like it was innocent enough. Like when she explained to me, I was like, yeah, why not? You're just trying to you just gotta pay rent. And then I saw it and I was like, they make a good point about the cat hair in it. And
yes, the cat hair
and the lack of ingredients and the legality of selling people stuff you don't tell them about. And then even the price point, I was like, yeah, that is a lot of money. But I don't think it's a scam. I think if someone's willing to pay $75 for oil they don't know a thing about, then like that's on you.
Yeah, that's so fair. The cat hair thing was scathing. I just feel like she is the type of person, like I read the, you know, the Natalie story or whatever whenever it came out, and like just follow her because she's in the news a lot. But I just feel like she reminds you of like there was always one girl in high school that was exactly like Caroline Calloway.
I do think she like she clearly captures something because people get so enraged. I mean, the engagement we've gotten over our podcast episode with her has been incredible. And she is like, there is something about her that people really fucking respond to. I mean, I've been fascinated by her for years. I like followed the Natalie thing. I mean, I've been there for every scandal. I was always like, what the fuck is going on with this girl? But it has been funny because now that she did my podcast, people have really come out against us, and like I'm getting some of the rollover hate. And in that sense, I like find myself defending her. Whereas, I mean, I would never normally defend her, but I also don't think she's indefensible. Like somebody came at us and was like, I'm going to stop listening to your podcast because you can't give somebody like that a platform. And I was like, well, she's not a Nazi. Like, she's just the narcissistic white girl. Like, I mean, she's hardly the planet's biggest enemy. Like it's wild watching people treat her like she's evil.
Totally.
Like she's kind of condescending and annoying and like, you know, and she just keeps throwing herself out on the internet, but she's not a war criminal.
Totally. No, I get that. Yeah, a lot of people, but that's like, again, stan culture and then like anti whatever people culture is that a lot of people do get these rollover like backlash for letting people speak on their platform or teasing people or like whatever you're doing on the internet.
Well, that was the irony, is we had people on the one hand being like, how dare you give a woman like her a platform? And then we had on the other hand, people were like, you're so pathetic for using her to get clout. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it? Do I have the bigger platform and I gave her a platform, or am I using her for clout? Because I'm like, yeah, we had her on the we were excited to have her on the podcast because she's a much bigger name than we are. We did get a lot of acknowledgement from it. Like, you know, we got a lot of followers and listens from it. So we definitely were like happy to have her on. But I'm like, is that like, do you know how news or headlines or anything works? The way it works is you get people interested by having people they're interested in.
Totally.
Like somebody was like, you guys are clout chasers. And we're like, yeah, we're trying to I literally quoted Kim and I was like, maybe if you had a fucking business you were passionate about, you would know what it takes to run a fucking business, but you don't. So
totally. There's no escaping that when you're doing anything on social media. So like that's not super fair. And if people get mad at that, you're right. It's like they just they're not in the business.
Yeah. It's also, I'm just like scrolled. It's so funny the way people allow themselves to get so mad. I'm like,
yeah, that's not me. But if it is, I'm like probably talking about it on this podcast, but I'm not like leaving like hate comments on like Shawn Mendes's like Instagram posts.
I've done one. I had one time where I was like, you did something bad. It was to Stassi Schroeder, but I did feel that what she did was really evil and racist. And it's like the one I've ever left. And I was like, what you did was fucked up.
Okay, I will. Now that I said that, I'm like, there is actually one that I did. It was the girl that is it Janelle that eats like keto on TikTok?
Oh my God. Yeah. Is it Bussin' Janelle?
Yes. And I just like wrote like, your life is so sad. And like, I didn't think anyone would see it. And then my friend like screenshot it to me. I'm like, fuck. Like,
have you ever seen those tweets that are like, when somebody like a friend you know in real life likes one of your comments on TikTok, it's like, leave me alone.
literally, I don't know what it is about TikTok that it's the one platform that I'll like actually comment on, but
well, the comment culture is so engaged. I mean, and I just described it to my mom as like playing, like, is it like Planko or whatever, like that game on
Plinko,
because so I put up a video of Caroline yesterday, and it was going great, getting a ton of views. People were like, oh my God, her, like, you know what I mean? They were like engaging. And they were definitely like, oh, that girl's crazy. But there was no blowback on me. It gets taken down for bullying and harassment for some reason. I don't know who, whatever.
reported it.
Yeah, who reported it. So then this morning I just reposted it, no problem. All of a sudden people are so mad at me. And it's just like the way it was received yesterday, it's literally the same video. Today, I've been getting so much hate for it from every direction. People are mad at me about the jokes I made. People are mad at me about associating with Caroline. People are mad at me for being friends with her. They think I'm clout chasing. They think I'm giving her a platform. Like, you know what I mean? From every direction, they're so mad at me. They're like, you didn't go hard enough on her. Like, why are you her friend? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yesterday, they're all on my side. One girl was like, I know you posted this yesterday, and then you just got a backlash. And so you've reposted it today, like a girl boss. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, you dumb bitch. It says in the comments that I got taken down for bullying and harassment. Like, if I got bad backlash, why would I no, like, they took it down from me. I would never, like, if I thought people hated it, why would I have reposted it?
That's so funny. Oh my God.
Congrats, you found me. Psycho.
And Kate, people repost stuff all the time on TikTok because it gets taken down so easily a lot of the times. So it's like, that's totally fine.
My friend Ashley, who's my co-host, always jokes that the biggest trolls on the internet are pet accounts. So she had like a pet account named, it was like Scooter the Golden or something. Cooper the Golden. Yeah. He was a golden doodle. And he would not stop bullying her. He was being so mean, like calling her ugly, calling her stupid. And so she made a TikTok being like, why is it always the pet accounts that bully you and troll you the hardest? And then her video got taken down for bullying and harassing. Oh my God. Cooper the Golden is at large, just bullying people. And all she tried to do was ask about it nicely. She didn't even bully him. She was just like, what is up with the dogs? Why are dogs calling me ugly on here? Oh my God. She was, I mean, that really is, talk about censorship.
Oh my God. That's so funny. Do you watch Big Brother?
No, I wish I did. I don't know why I could, but
yeah, it premieres tonight, the new season, but there was a contestant on, they've been on twice. Her name is Christmas, and she had her pet account like attacking trolls when she was like in the house. So like her friend was just like, and every comment ended with like a paw emoji. like it was the real dog signing off. Like,
can I tell you something that Christmas, the name Christmas remind me of? I'll cop to something.
Yeah.
It was a Ready to Be Petty exclusive. Here's the main thing I said in my life. There was a boy in my high school named Chris Christmas. And how old are you?
28.
Okay, so we're the exact same age. Do you remember like honesty boxes?
Of course. Oh my God.
I wrote honesty box. Your parents must hate you if they named you that. And Chris, if you're listening, I'm really sorry. I don't know why I felt like, why did I have to write that? You knew.
Oh my God. Why do honesty boxes like still haunt me to this day? I swear to God, I thought about it like last week that someone said I was like undateable. Like,
I had like hundreds of mean comments.
Oh my God. So
I had multiple people tell me I looked like I had Down syndrome. And so then I had to go home and be like, if this many people think it must be true.
Oh my God. Okay, I had like a handful, but I just took that as a sign that I wasn't like popular enough to like get hate.
Let me tell you, it's not the grass isn't always greener. You know what I mean? It's like getting more. Nobody had an honesty box full of nice compliments. No. Like the more comments, just more hate. So.
Yeah. Oh my God. The pink like devil horn logo or whatever, I can still like I don't know, picture it. It's seared into my memory.
R.I.P. Honesty Box. And then we had Form Spring, but that didn't do it for me the way that Honesty Box did.
No, that was the
It was more
peak.
performative.
Oh my God. Okay, I would love to talk about Blake and Gwen's wedding. Have you seen any of their pictures that were released?
Yes, all of them.
What did you think about her dress? She did like the full bride for her second wedding.
Mean, I just think I speak for everybody in America when I talk about their, like, to see an American institution like Gwen Stefani, historically one of the coolest girls we have ever put out there. I mean, I always joke, like, she's a good argument in favor of cultural appropriation. Like, everybody was like, stop appropriating cultures, and now she's married to Blake. So are you people fucking happy? Is this what you wanted?
Honestly.
You wanted? And to see her become a Republican the way she has been so painful. I hate that. I don't know who did Vera Wang make her dress? I think.
I didn't read that
Vera
much
Wang,
into it.
The new like off-white Virgil Abloh thing of putting words on the veil.
Yes.
I thought it looked like a cheap version of, do you remember when Angelina Jolie had a veil with all of her children's drawings on it? Now that was cool. Yes. That I loved. This one I didn't. I just, the whole thing makes me sad. I'm sad about what has happened to her. It makes me feel like age is not just a number. It's something that's coming. It made me feel like age is death, and it made me sad to grow up. Where she used to be such a harbinger of being cool, and now
she's very, very, very not cool. I thought they were like a fake couple. Like, I still low-key think they're a fake couple, because what do they talk about?
I have a horrible idea. Like, I just have this horrible vision of our punk rock queen, our ska princess, just like laughing at his jokes at a table that nobody else is laughing at them, and she's just like your stuff, like I just imagine a lot of their conversations is her turning to Blake and being like, tell them about that thing you said like, you know what I mean? Like, I just imagine she's a shell of her former self. It's like the worst episode of Stepford Wives. I'm so sad about it.
Okay, and he used to date Miranda Lambert too, who is also like very cool girl. So like, what's his charm?
At least she's country though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let me say though, and now she's dating a cop. I think she's like married to a cop. So.
Oh gosh.
I don't know. You know what I mean? He's a square-jawed, famous man. Like, I get that he has an appeal. It hurts to see. You would have liked her with a Travis Barker. You would have liked her with
an MJK.
The bad lip filler, the voice. I don't know when the last time she did music was. It's just sad to see that somebody that was like once so fucking cool has become so suburban.
Yeah, she has released music with Blake, but it just like has like, I didn't listen, obviously. And it was so weird because like, this is again being like, it's so vanilla. Carson Daly officiated it. He went on the Today Show to like share all about it.
Was that like a PR deal? Did he pay them to get to do that?
No, he's like, I've been friends with Gwen for 25 years.
But like, I don't understand why he had to officiate. Was he gonna be like, here's the top 10 moments that they said I just feel like, man, everything you're saying is bumming me out.
I know. And he like went on the show and like, I thought spilled way too many intimate details of like a guest that I guess they did like a whole like people spread and shit, so they probably want all of this attention, but I was like, I wouldn't want like guests to my wedding talking about this on like a morning news segment. But he said that Blake's vows were an acoustic song, so she gave her vows like the normal speech, and then he sang her a new song called Reach for the Stars.
I know we're on a podcast, so you guys can't see me shaking my head in horror, disgust, and honestly, sadness. But let me tell you something. If I have a boyfriend, I love him. I can't wait to marry him one day. If he surprised me with an acoustic vow song, I would walk out.
Honestly, how awkward.
I'd be out.
How awkward. And like, he pulled out like a wooden stool and like grabbed his guitar and his mic and did a like full performance.
My boyfriend's very shy, and I always say to him, I will, like, the last thing I'd ever do to you is make you write your own vows. And the last thing I'm gonna do as a comic is write my own vows, because I'm like, this isn't a fucking show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to like make the audience laugh. Like, I'm here to do something authentic. And I know that that's his art, but I still feel like it's not my thing. I don't like it, but it's very them.
It
Which I
is.
mean sucks.
I don't know. I'm like anti wedding in general, so an acoustic performance in addition to like thinking about saying something personal in front of like my parents and my closest friends and family is just a no from me. I think one of the other big headlines from this is that Adam Levine wasn't there. Are you surprised by that, or do you think their friendship was just like for The Voice, a TV show no
I
one
never watched The
watches?
Voice, but
No.
like, why would they be friends? I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, like, a lot of my colleagues aren't going to come to my wedding either. They're just coworkers.
Yeah, literally. I saw a tweet the other day that was like normalize using correct words like colleague and like acquaintance, and I'm like I'm all for that. I don't want to hang out with these people outside of work.
Yeah, I mean, like, they are just coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even. It's not even like I just quit my job, but I was close with a lot of my coworkers because we're like down in the trenches, 9 to 5. These people aren't like hacking it out in a cubicle with only a snack break to bond. Like, these are people that probably work a couple weeks a year. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the amount of time they probably spend together overall in a year isn't much, I don't think. And when they're on, they're on. I don't think they're just like farting around.
Literally, or like I would be hiding in my trailer.
Yeah, they all have their own trailer, and even those seats are so far apart. They're all like socially distanced.
Yeah.
They're in those giant chairs.
Anyways, I wish them the best, and then I hope they just like peter off into obscurity.
I literally wish them the worst. I would love for them to be divorced and then for Gwen to re-find herself and like give us like the bangerest middle-aged broke up divorced woman album of all time.
Oh my god, yes. That would be very cool, and like bring back the plaid pants so the rest of us can. Like
Yeah, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll take a page out of old, like, now that she's dead, like a phoenix, I'll be her.
Yeah. Oh my god. And like Avril Lavigne just got a TikTok and was wearing like a tie. Like this should be her time to like have a resurgence.
I hope you cheat, Blake. Blake, I hope you cheat.
Knowing Blake, like honestly, that's like probably in the stars
I
for
could
them.
be cheating like with like a cocktail waitress who's like 19 and ugly, honestly.
Yeah.
He seems like a whole type person.
At like a layover at a airport or something, like on a business trip. In other big celeb news, Britney's like whole team is resigning. I know you don't love talking about Britney Spears, but I just find this like really interesting. We haven't actually, since I haven't podcasted in a month, sorry everybody, I haven't covered a lot of the Free Britney stuff, but it's in the works. It's just like so weird that her court appointed attorney resigned and then her manager, like longtime manager, resigned. Do you have any ideas of why this could be happening?
Well, I've heard one of the things that she's saying is she's retiring. And then two, I think just like bad press. Like, you know what I mean? I think if you can get out of there before everything, the ship crumbles, I think they see the tides are turning and any respectable law office wouldn't want to be a part of that. I know Bessemer Trust, which was the co-conservator that was supposed to come on with Jamie Spears and handle the financial aspect of her life, they never actually went into effect and they completely resigned and they pulled out. So I do think that, I mean, it's just they're kind of getting canceled right now. Nobody wants to be a part of that team.
Yeah, that's a really good point because you're right. Like they would have been, it's public knowledge that these people were working like for the conservatorship, but you're right. I feel like it was a really big turning point when Britney spoke to the courts like a week ago now, or 2 weeks ago. So that's a good point. Like now many more people are talking about them versus just like the Free Britney movement, which was like kind of still contained up until like I think the Hulu doc.
Yeah, I was seeing it's kind of frivolous and now it's like so intense. I just can't imagine work. I mean, you have to, like, these are people with jobs, like the amount of texts and emails, like you have to think like the stress is just not worth it.
I found it really weird that her manager, Larry Rudolph, said that he hadn't spoken to her in 2.5 years. I don't know why I said 2.5, like that was the increment, but like that's so weird to me that like, again, I just find, yeah, like you didn't talk to her. She's like clearly in distress.
I can't imagine he's particularly, I wonder if that's just because there was no money to be made off of her for a while, especially during, I mean, a year and a half of that was the pandemic.
True.
The year before that, she walked off the stage, didn't talk to anybody. I mean, there has been a lot going on in her life specifically. And so
I wonder if he's just like, I have other business to attend to. I'm sure he's got assistants and stuff. You know what I mean? I wonder if it was just like not a meeting he needed to be a part of. Also, 2.5 years ago, they put her in that mental institution. So maybe he's just like, all right, business is not booming. I'll check back in next time we need to set up a deal. And there just hasn't been a deal set up yet.
Yeah. And if she is permanently retiring, then like she would no longer need his services. But I guess maybe it's good that they had just like a manager client relationship. But I'm like, wouldn't you be like checking in at like Christmas or something? I don't know.
I wonder how much access she's allowed to have. It sounds like they keep her pretty controlled. Like she said that thing about how she's not allowed to see her friend who lives down the street. I do wonder how many people she's even allowed to talk to. Like, and I imagine she hates everyone around her. It feels like if you are near her, you hate her and don't respect her or care about her at all as a person because she's been a prisoner for so long. So I don't think, you know what I mean? I don't think people are like jailers aren't texting Merry Christmas to people they keep behind bars.
Fair enough. I saw a conspiracy theory that Kim Kardashian could be linked like a
I saw that too.
Yeah, like a similar situation with her and Kanye of like when he was tweeting like a year ago about Kim trying to put him into involuntary like conservatorship. What did you think about that?
I feel like it's totally possible. I do think Lou Taylor is responsible for a few other conservatorships. I think Amanda Bynes. I think Misha Barton was put in one. I think so. Lou Taylor is kind of like made it happen. I mean, she like invented them for celebrities basically. And so if you want the best and the Kardashians love the best, you would go to her. And I'm sure they were considering it. Yeah. And I'm sure they just have her on as a consultant to be like, when can we, like, what, you know what I mean? Like you have to start building that case for a while. So they're probably like, what evidence do we keep? What do we do? What's the best thing? Like, how do we keep this under wraps? And also it seems like they have a full like network of judges and lawyers who are kind of in their pocket. So, I mean, if you wanted it done, you would go to her.
Yeah, I agree with the judges thing because I've been following Tristan Thompson's paternity scandal about the woman who claims that they share a kid together, and she keeps saying like they paid off the judge, they paid off the like paternity test people and stuff like that. And I don't know. I like literally believe that. That's so wild.
Yeah, I believe it too. I don't think like anything, like I don't trust any. I'm like kind of a conspiracy theorist at this point. Yeah. I like the way we're like, well, the judge said, the court said, like at this point, I have very little trust in the American justice system at any level, from like the cops up to the judges. Like, I mean, I don't know if this woman is using that to her advantage, but I would put anything past anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Epstein.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is Nick Cannon, because he has had like, he needs to release a memoir, honestly, because I want to hear about these like 7 kids that he's had in like 10 years.
I mean, do you think he knows them? I have to say, I don't think he'd even mention the kids in the memoir, honestly.
Oh my God.
I mean, does he seem like, what do you think, what impact do you think that has on his life? It seems like he gets them pregnant and then he shows up for a pregnancy photo shoot and then that's it. And then I'm sure he's paying checks, but like, I don't think he's a present father to like 7 kids with 4 moms. I like think it would be a few pages at the end of his memoir. I mean, I've never been a Nick Cannon person.
Neither. Yeah, he was like endorsing Kanye last year and stuff. He's a mess.
Very like anti-abortion and stuff. He's very like,
clearly, but I did think when he had the twins with Mariah Carey that he did seem like really involved in their lives, and then just kind of like, that was 10 years ago.
That, yeah. Also, I do think it's the power of the mom. I mean, Mariah Carey, I think I saw court documents that said when they got married, she was worth like $400 million and he was worth like $400,000 or something. You know what I mean? Like, I do think in that situation, she held all the power. And so to be near her, he was going to be near the kids by default almost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think in the way that I feel like I see that with men sometimes, where like they have favorite kids based on who the mother was. Like, I know like Jack Nicholson has some kids he like acknowledges and some kids he doesn't, based on like how legitimate or intense the relationship that the form the child was.
Totally.
I have a feeling that for someone like Nick Cannon, based on how important the moms are socially, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think every kid gets equal attention.
Yeah, that's fair. So the latest kid that was born was Zen. That's like one of their most normal names. The other
Yeah, I was like, the other one's like what, like king and princess. It's like
Zion Mixolydian.
okay, Zion. I don't mind because there's that basketball player named. Is it like Zion?
Oh, is it Zion? Because like Zion National Park.
And there's also Zion, a basketball player. So I'm like, all right, I can name 3 other Zions, so we'll give it to you.
Okay, I'm gonna take that
But
one.
what are the other ones? What are the other ones?
Okay, this one's, I think I'm gonna ask you what you actually think is the worst one. So there's Zen, Zion, Zillionaire.
Heir.
Yes, like millionaire, but zillionaire.
Okay.
Powerful Queen, Golden Sagon, Monroe, and Moroccan.
Okay. I think zillionaire is the worst for me.
Yeah.
And then, wow, either powerful queen or golden Saigon, you're saying?
Yeah. Golden Sagon, there's no I in it. Because I thought it was going to be Saigon too. But I don't think maybe I just wrote it down wrong. Who knows? We do shoddy research here.
Powerful. I think, I don't know. It's really hard. I guess powerful queen, I think, is worse than golden Saigon. And then Moroccan, I think, is next worst. And then Zen. And then Monroe.
I actually don't mind Monroe. I think that's cute because I like the nickname Roe. I think that's very cute.
Monroe is like, it is like a last name. I also am okay with like sounds. I'm okay with like, you know, names that are maybe from other cultures. It's when you just take words that mean nothing. Like when you take like a word and make it a name, like adjectives can't just be a name. Like powerful, no. Golden, no.
Zen.
Moroccan.
Yeah.
At least Zen is a noun, which I feel like, I don't know, there's something about like Zen. At least it's like a calm word. Powerful is a lot. It's a lot to announce yourself as powerful. It's a lot to announce yourself as golden Sagon. That one sounds to me like a sack full of pee. Moroccan is weird. Moroccan is a weird name.
I think that the worst for me is Powerful Queen, just because I can't imagine. I always think that people compare celeb baby names when they're like, oh, when they do roll call in school. But it's like they're not going to be in normal schools. They're going to be.
The thing about Nick Cannon's like 7th baby is She Might. The problem is it's really kind of overstepping his fame. He's going to go down as Mariah Carey's baby daddy. And so now this child is like Mariah Carey's baby daddy's other baby.
Yeah.
I do think that he's kind of overstepping his fame.
That's such a good point because you can get away with it when you're Kim Kardashian and your kid's name is North or Som.
There is literally no chance North or Som try to become
normal people. Yes.
Powerful queen
might have to
go to college and get, you know what I mean, a communications job. And
oh my god.
Like I just do think that there will never be a time North or Rain or any of those kids won't be known before they enter the building. Powerful Queen will. It's not even a job thing. They'll be at a dinner party one day where people just won't already know who they are. And it'll be like, why is that your name?
Totally. Unless they are so embarrassed that, again, their parents are like Nick Cannon. And
the problem with names is that you get really normalized to them. You know what I mean? But like, that's all they'll ever know. So they won't know it as a weird name.
Yeah.
They'll have that every time someone makes something, they'll be like, what the f-? I met a woman in the Hampton named Hedges one time. I'm like, that's funny. Like she didn't even know because that's all she knew.
I know. Hedges. And like also over time they seem less weird. Like I remember like Apple, Gwyneth's
now
kid.
It's totally normal.
I would not even bat my eyes at that, but now it's like Powerful Queen. I don't think I'll ever get over that. Or Zillionaire, nickname Zilly.
I don't like any name that refers to like being rich.
Yeah.
So like the Housewives, there's a lot of Cashes, there's a lot of like cruises. Like I don't like anything. Hilton, there's a couple. To like name your daughter Hilton first name is so trashy to me.
Yeah, or like there's Baron and Rain. I don't like when it's like referring to like power
and money,
like systems and stuff. That's the last of it. Thank you so much for joining me on the pod. I appreciated it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Where can the listeners find your podcast and your socials?
So Celebrity Memoir Book Club is everywhere you can get podcasts. It's with a memoir. It's like a purple one. You'll find it. And then I'm Claire the Scare on TikTok and on Instagram.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Claire, for joining me on today's episode of RTPP. If you enjoyed the epi, the best thing you can do is tell a friend or post about it on social media. I will be asking you this till the end of time. But it really helps the pod find new listeners. And that means we get to talk about more stuff together. If you're not already, you can follow me on all socials at RTBP Podcast. We do have our longer form Britney special coming out, but what else do you want to hear about next? Let me know. You can just slide into my DMs. I hope you are safe and healthy out there. As always, I'm your host, Torry, and I am ready to be petty. See you soon. Bye.